Alright, I'm not gonna lie. I might be in a little bit of trouble here. I can't make heads or tail of this map, and it's starting to get dark. So I'm probably gonna have to camp with what I have.
Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. Got a quick little episode for you this week as we are filming during the holiday season, so it's pretty busy, and I'm actually just about to travel on an epic adventure. Our friends over at Larpshire have invited Maddie and I to go on a in-character camping trip in mid-December, so it's gonna be cold. But I thought that it makes a really good opportunity to go over exactly what you would wear during like a cold weather LARP. Especially because I had to look that up. I had no idea. Now they're taking care of most of the logistics, we just gotta show up, but I thought it would also be fun to bring some of the stuff that we've made in prior episodes and see how they actually hold up while camping. Though the how they hold up will be next episode. This episode is just me getting ready for the trip. So not really sure what to call this skill. Leave in the comments section below what you think it should be. But for now, let's just jump right into it and, you know, level it up. If I'm being honest, Maddie went on vacation and she makes the little skill badges. I didn't know what to do. Okay, so I figured it would be fun to do this bad boy like Skyrim character creation style. So say hello to my avatar for the day, me. That's his name, it's me. I'm not creative with the names, that's also a Maddie job. Now, a lot of dressing up a character in general has to do with layering things. You can add a lot of interest and kind of story to a character just by the different knickknacks and things that they wear. Layering is super important for a completely different reason when we're talking about winter camping. Namely, not dying in the cold. Now, one method that I read about that I really liked is called the WISE method. WISE standing for wicking, insulating, shelter, and extra. So, starting from the innermost layer and working our way out, let's strip me all the way down to that base wicking layer. Now, Cupcake, don't be shy. This layer should be lightweight and close to the skin as its purpose is to wick the moisture away from like sweat. As you can imagine, being wet in like freezing conditions is not a good place to be. Now this is one of the few pieces of kit that I'm actually going to be using like modern pieces of clothing for. And that's a point worth harping on. You really shouldn't be a slave to like that really traditional clothing or whatever when you definitely have more modern alternatives that can keep you safe. Being outside camping in cold, wintry conditions is really dangerous if you're not careful. And besides, if you wanted to be historically accurate, you would be like wintering in a mead hall or something away from the cold. Living Anachronism actually did a really good episode on this one you should check out that just talked about how like, yeah, real adventurers, they wouldn't have dealt with the winter. They would have hunkered down until it was over. Anyway, with this layer, you want to avoid cotton because it actually like absorbs that moisture and stays wet. Instead, you want things like silk, wool, or synthetic fibers that are gonna wick that moisture away from your body and dry quickly. Same deal goes with my socks here, which are wool. You seriously do not want to skimp on footwear as that is the quickest way to misery you know. Cool, so let's start adding on the I to the Y's, which is insulating. Starting with these nice wool pants. By the way, all of the clothing I'm wearing today comes directly from Bergsnyder. They've given our community a 15% discount on everything in the store. They've also partnered with us to run the Level Up LARP competition, in which you get a crazy 30% discount on the selected items, and also a chance to win a trip with us to Germany to the largest LARP in the world, Conquest. Check out the description below or this video up here for more information on that. But yeah, obviously the purpose of the insulating layer is to begin insulating your body to stop heat loss. And wool is fantastic for this. Not only that, but it's also fairly water resistant, so you don't have to worry so much about getting soaked all the way through. These pants also have these belt loops here, which I was recommended specifically because it would help with the next outer layer, which would be like our shelter layer or our protective layer from the elements, which in this case are these stylish yet practical hosen. These are also made out of wool and not only add an extra layer of insulation to my legs, but again help stop my pants from getting soaked through if it snows or is otherwise wet. Now I'm gonna be honest, this is my first time wearing like hosen of any sort, and yeah, it looks kind of weird, but hot damn does it keep my legs warm. Or warm damn does it keep my legs hot? It's terrible. I'm gonna sit ashamed in my shame corner full of shame for that. It's awful. Now, while still dealing with the lower half of my body, as I said, there are certain things that you don't want to mess around with when it comes to your kit, especially when it comes to your feet. That's why I'm wearing these more modern boots that are styled to look like a fantasy medieval aesthetic. These bad boys are just some Timberlands with some extra leather thrown on top of them. and they had been my go-to cold weather boots for some years now. Were I going out in more extreme temperatures, I definitely get like a more insulated winter boot. There are totally ways to like cover these or make them look like they're more like, you know, fantasy or period correct or just in-game. But really, nobody's gonna give you crap for not wanting frostbite on your feet. Nobody is having fun with frostbite. You can put that on a t-shirt. Moving on to the upper half of my body, I throw on this spiffy looking tunic here to start my insulating layers there. Now if you weren't going for like a medieval or fantasy aesthetic, this is where you throw like a fleece on, something that really helps retain that warmth. Instead, I'm gonna try to accomplish the same kind of insulation just by adding more layers. I do really like tunics though because of how long they tend to be. A little side note about me, I used to be in construction and we'd have to work outside all winter. And I found one of the best ways to keep my body warm was actually to have a long shirt that I could tuck in. Because when your shirt's not tucked in, there's this gap here that allows heat to escape from all those insulating layers. So with this long tunic, once you throw a belt on, you've got a really nice locked in layer right there. Then on top of that, I actually threw on yet another tunic that's made of an even thicker fabric. Technically, this one's considered an under tunic, but it's actually so thick that I preferred it on the outside. Besides, I kind of like that short sleeve over long sleeves look. I've also found while working outside that wearing something like on your chest neck area really does wonders for keeping you warm. So to protect that specific area, I got this sweet woolen cowl. It is super warm and does a really great job trapping heat. Not only that, but it's a hood, so it'll protect my dome and my massive ears from getting cold. Now you know I like the look of a hood. It's like that classic kind of medieval thing. But it's this big open area, and when it gets windy, it doesn't do a good job protecting my, again, massive ears. So tighter fitting headgear like this coif is really good for adding that protection. I even got this jaunty little beret in case I felt like I needed a bit more insulation in my head. Alright, so far we've done our wicking layer, our insulating layer, a little bit of our shelter layer on our legs. So for that final like outer shell area, this is where you have a lot of extra fun choices. For example, if you really wanted to, you could just pop on a gambeson. Now you're a big old Stay Puft Marshmallow Man of quilted fabric. This is incredibly warm. Basically like just having a long quilted jacket on. It's really warm. For this trip though, I think it's a little bit more bulky than I really want it to be. So instead, I'm gonna use this badass adventurer's cloak that I made a few episodes back. Check out this video here for more details. This gives me a thick woolen outer layer, shoulder coverings made of reindeer hide, which is stupid warm. Heck, it even has pockets inside that are lined with rabbit fur. This all by itself feels like it's my winter survival gear. I even have a little built-in scarf for a face covering in case the wind picks up. As far as the E, the extra on the Ys, I'm gonna be bringing some extra clothing, some more pants, definitely a bunch more socks. Can never have enough socks. It's a short trip, so I'm basically bringing kind of double everything that I think I'll need. Okay, so that's all the clothes I'm gonna be wearing on this adventure. I hope you found the merger of LARPing and winter survival interesting, at least. Hopefully useful, because I had to look most of that up. But now I kind of want to touch base on the gear that I've made in the past that I'm going to be putting to the test on this trip. Just a few of those odds and ends I've put together in the past that you've all said you'd like to see on a real camping situation. Starting with my water bottle here. Super important to have water with you, and I'm glad to give this thing a try. I also added a strap to it so that I can kind of wear it close to my body, like under some of the layers, because it will be below freezing, and I don't want my water to freeze, so there's that. From my Staff of the Wanderer video, I have this little leather pouch here that becomes my seat, which is carrying all of my rations like Cliff Bars and jerky. I'm also going to be bringing along this fire starting kit consisting of a striker that I forged, some flint, and this char cloth I made in one of the quick skills a long time ago. I'm going to leave links for all of the videos in which I made all of this stuff in the description below in case you're interested. I'm also going to be just bringing along some of this hemp cord, as it's always good to have extra cordage, and this stuff burns really well in case I need tinder. All of that's going to be shoved into my nutsack. If you know, you know. Now, as I will be wandering the woods, I'm of course going to be bringing my Staff of the Wanderer, seen here in 3 parts. I'll also be carrying the hatchet that I customized, and this knife with the sheath that I made. And of course, because I'm a YouTuber and I want you to actually see the trip, I have this whole litany of camera gear that needs to come with. I know you're thinking, clever, this is a bunch of crap. How are you gonna bring it all? That's where my Bag of the Wanderer comes in. If you saw the episode where I made this, you know this bad boy opens up to be a full tent. Something I'm hoping to maybe test out if there's enough time. Finally, to actually get to the Larpshire camp, they provided me with this helpful map. You're not seeing it wrong, the directions are in like paces. like they're pirates. It's grainy and fairly indistinct, but I mean, what can go wrong, right? As far as packing, honestly, only the camera gear and some of the extra stuff really needs to go in my backpack. All the rest of my pouches and stuff are able to be hung directly outside of that pack on the straps. All the rest can either be carried with me or hung on my waist using that sword belt that I made a few episodes back. And behold, the Wanderer, ready to explore undiscovered lands. And as it is winter, he is the Winter Wanderer with his cloak of many uses. Now, a lot of that is probably overkill. Like I said, Larpshire is taking care of the camp, and we've been promised like a really nice, big, well-taken care of camp with a big fire. I think we're going to be pretty warm and comfortable, but I thought maybe it'd be fun to kind of sneak away a little bit and try some of this stuff off to the side. Though if I'm honest, putting a backpack on over a thick cloak like this, it doesn't work. Luckily, here in New England, the winter's been fairly mild. It's only like 34 degrees outside right now. And my cloak is modular. So I just decided to use the reindeer pelt, which is super warm and honestly provides a lot of cushion for the backpack. Now the straps are really comfortable. The rest of my cloak I just strapped to the back of my backpack, knowing that if it got really cold, I could always just bust it out and drape it over everything. I'd look like a weird hunchback or whatever, but I'd be warm and survive. That's all that matters. And with that, we're ready to go off on this adventure. I am super excited for this trip, and I can't wait next week to show you how it went. By the time you see this, holidays are over, so I hope you had a really great and safe holiday. And I hope you liked what you saw here today. If you did, why don't you give me some of that like it love, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't release new content. In the meantime, keep leveling up, you, and as Larpshire says, adventure awaits! This way, I think? Oh, I hope they have marshmallows.